Okay, it's 8:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
John Righeimer.
Here.
Stacy Hessel. Mark Helwig. Steve Carrianen. Jeff Haney. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Certification of compliance, please.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. The meeting agenda is set. Do we have any public comments? Nobody online? Okay, thank you. Consider approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Motion by Mark Helwig,
I'll second.
second by Jeff Haney. Any discussion? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Minutes approved. All right, Brian, you're up. Treasurer's report.
So the 2026 interim update is that the final redemption date is set for July 10th, and the hearing date is August 17th. We have 44 properties that are left on the interim list. 2 came off in the month of June. Update on the county land sales, there's still 4 properties still on the list. We haven't had any movement on them. Delinquent, the amounts there are that as of July 1st, there's 1,435,237.68 that are still sitting out there in delinquent. About $100,000 came off in the month of June, of which 1,600 of it was interest and penalty. You could see in July, we came down, the top 2 in the 5 years are those interim ones that came off down to 29. And we decreased the delinquent about 100 and some that came off. WTCA June conference I went to second week in June, and bankruptcy was talked about there. County land sales, Johnson Financial gave a market and financial update. That was real interesting. WRS spoke about benefits. Andy Phillips gave us the updates on the 2 pending lawsuits that are out there. The Elliott versus the state, which there was some good news. That's where the 72 counties are getting sued for selling county land and not giving proceeds out, basically, in general. And there was good news on that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of us. So they were going to try and go back to 1989, and the court said, no, can't go back that far. So, and then the other one was Pung versus Isabel County. That was up in Michigan, where there was a house that was sold for by the county for $74,000 or $76,000. And like a week later, the guy that bought it flipped it and sold it for $194,000. So they sued, saying they didn't do their due diligence, but the courts came back again on that one and ruled in our favor, saying that an auction they sold it by auction, and that's a legit way to sell it. And if that's the way it goes, and they can't predict that somebody's going to be able to flip it at that price. So, any questions?
As far as delinquencies, how are they tracking this year compared to previous years? Do we have a sense?
Last year was a better year for people. When we got done with the interim list, we only had 7 of them on there. This year is 44. So we're hoping that people are going to come in. I think it's going to be a big jump from this year to next year, because we went from 3 years or 5 years to 3 years now. So I think that's why this list is a little bit higher and it's a little slower moving, is because the amounts that you have to pay to get off the interim list are higher this year. So we got an extra year in there, so.
Thanks.
That it? Thank you, Brian. We appreciate what you do. Number 10, Finance Department report.
All right, good morning, everybody. First report on our list is sales tax. June was another good month for us. Tracking a little less than we were predicting last month, but still looking to finish a little above 8% on last year. And entering our busy season here, so things are looking good in that regard. If there are no questions on sales tax, the June budget performance report, we are looking to be about 50% on the year. One thing I will point out to you, if anybody's comparing reports, sales tax on this report shows 34%, which wouldn't match the report I just showed you. That June payment wasn't receipted until after this report was run. So now it's in there and both are on track, right where we would expect them to be. Nothing of significance. A couple of things I will mention down towards the bottom when we look at those totals for Fund 125 and for 225 HHS and 701 Highway. We run these reports at month end, sometimes a few days before the end of the month. And so I went ahead just to look and see where we're at now that we've captured some of that activity from the very end of the month. And when I look at Fund 100, we're tracking a little bit behind, recognizing that we're not pulling fund balance draw that we've predicted yet this year because we want to see where that year ends. But as of yesterday, we were 49% on revenues and 50% on expenses. So seeing that level out a little bit there. Health and Human Services, same thing. We often talk about their revenues are always lacking and they are behind, which is true. So looking at some of those revenues that came in for them, when we look at the beginning of July now, they're 50% on revenues and 53% on expenses. So we see some of that revenue that we're capturing coming in and some of that catching up, and that's not reflected here. So I thought I would just take a minute to kind of share that with you. And then Fund 701 Highway Department, here they're showing 35% on revenue, 30% on expenses. So a little bit of a deficit. They did have some capital purchases that were part of the CIP program. And so we went ahead and made those transfers at the beginning of July with those purchases. And so we'll see a little bit of a shift at the end of July reflective of that revenue going in. Any questions? If not, CIP for the month of June, we had 2 sheriff vehicles that were outfitted, so about $41,000, just shy of $42,000 for the month. Individual reports that we're looking at for June, ambulance is the first one on the list. A couple of things to note here. I've talked about in the past how ambulance fees from the billing company don't come in till the following month. We would see June revenues coming in usually about the 15th, 20th of the following month. So towards the end of July, we'll see those. Ambulance fees are down a little bit. They're at 36%. We made a change in software companies, and in that transition, there were a few hiccups. So as of the end of May, we had 341 claims that had to be resubmitted to the billing company to go through that process. And so that's a significant amount. And so that's why we're seeing that lag a little bit. They're working on catching up with those. And so we'll kind of see a shift in that. So the data seems slightly skewed, but we are able to track the reasoning behind that. Looking in total at the end for them, they are showing a deficit of just a few $1,000s. So, and still tracking behind the 50% mark that we would expect to see. Any questions on ambulance? The next one is medical examiner. This one is, a little tough to budget and forecast, obviously. Revenues are at 37% on the year and expenses at 22%. Nothing really of significance to note here. It just, that one kind of turns out how it turns out based on what's happening. The next department we're looking at this month is emergency management. Revenues there are 3 forms of grant funding, and those grants aren't claimed until the end of the year when all expenses are captured. We turn in our request to them, and at the end of the year, we turn in what our total expenses were. They reimburse based on a percentage, generally aligning with what we've, forecasted our expenses to be. But we won't see those until the beginning of 2027, once we've turned in those grant claims. Expenses for the year at 45%, so under the 50% mark that we would expect, which is a good thing. If there's no questions on emergency management, the last report that I have for you this month is our general government fund. This is Department 33 in our general fund, and this is just where we pay our insurance premiums out of, payments to the libraries, the outside organizations, and that sort of thing. You've heard us mention several times that we make these payments in full, and so for part of the year, you kind of see that those expenses are running ahead. So you'll notice several of them are at 100% right now, and that's just because we disperse those right away at the beginning of the year. Any questions on that? Yep.
Can you tell me when our building project comes off of our accounting? Is that, how many years was that? I just need a reminder, I'm sorry.
The construction.
Yeah, yep.
Hang on a second.
I thought it was a 8 or 10, but I can't remember.
I think the first part was a 20, the second part was a 10, but I'm gonna double check.
Okay.
How many libraries do we support?
3.
Well, probably almost 20 counting the out of county.
Oh, right, because you have to send the checks for them.
Well, Mike's looking for that. I did just notice, I apologize, I forgot to hit on the 27 budget update, number 10, letter D. Nothing notable other than just to report to you that anybody who wanted to make a request for an additional position had to be turned in by June 30th. So those requests did come in to admin. And we're seeing CIP requests come in and some budget requests come through, and we've met with some departments to go over their budgets and get those entered already too. So things are moving along in that regard.
So the original $8 million issue comes due 2042. And then the second, which if you recall that second one, we finished this project, rolled 2 CIPs in, and that property purchase we did at the end of 2023, that matures in 2032.
Oh, okay, so a ways yet.
We got a ways,
All
yeah.
right, I couldn't remember what that was, thank you.
Yep.
All right, if there's no other questions, the last item on my list is the May investment report. Tracking a little bit ahead of last year. Interest is tracking ahead of last year. We had a CD that it matured in May, the end of May, and actually the disbursement wasn't made till June because of the way the timing of when those were purchased. So in June, you will see that CD has matured, and then the new Franzen Bank CD that you approved last month on the report. Other than that, if there's no questions, that's all I've got today.
So I know we always have the opioid and, the 2 unspent funds.
Mm-hmm.
When will we see those off of there? Because those have been on there since I've been on the board.
Opioid, I believe, has a 20-year spend down, wasn't it?
Yes, we have
And we'll probably
tracking
accelerate that a
worksheet
little
on it.
bit, but each year Julia proposes a budget to spend that down.
Okay.
So, that one is coming down, but we keep getting new awards too, so.
Right.
We keep getting money added to it. The LATCF funds, that was a one-time, kind of at the end of the ARPA COVID money. that we just haven't designated anything for. It's kind of a rainy day fund, or if we get a special project that we feel we need and we don't have funding for, that would be a good use of that funds,
Okay.
those funds.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Number 13, resolution for the Weiss and Winter Library Support Discussion Possible Action. Mike, could you give a preview of that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of you were at Economic Development on Monday where we discussed this. This arose from, since I've been here over the years, it's been a little frustrating for me when the board gets accused of not supporting libraries. And we do support libraries, and in fact, this past year, we supported the Weiss Library at about 200% of our circulation number that we are required to pay. And Winter is much more than that, but they're different because they have combined so they can get township money. I can't remember the term, but so their circulation number is really low because of that. And we've funded them, for years and years it was at the same rate. And in the past few years, the ask has been getting greater. Last year, the ask was quite a bit higher than it had been before. And my recommendation is that we did not do that. I recommended a smaller increase. Their ask was about 17% increase, well more than we gave any of our own departments. That was my rationale. It's tough for me to propose that when we weren't doing that with our own departments. So after, for 3 meetings, it's tough, it's emotionally driven. The board has to hear that they're not supporting the libraries and this and that. So I did come up with a resolution, kind of an idea, right after budget season last year. And then talked about a proposal at, was it Economic or Finance last month? Economic last month. And people seem to like it. I did actually meet with the 2 libraries then following that meeting, and Weiss brought some other people with, some of their board members, and after talking through it, they were in support of this proposal too. So what it would be is the greater of 150% of circulation, the formula, or 102% of the previous year's allocation.
Just to make it, so that means they're at 200% now. They wouldn't be going down to 150. They're at 200%. They would be 202% or 202 for this year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just, because.
Yeah, it's
People
not a
understand
reset, it's basing off of the previous year. The rationale is it takes some of that emotion out of it. Both parties know what it's going to be.
So the likelihood is they would always be 200% plus unless.
Unless they had a very
Something
good year
crazy.
in circulation, yes.
Right.
Annually, it would go up 2.5%.
In layman's terms, what does that mean? I don't know what 150%,
Well-
2%.
Well, I think that.
The likelihood is that their increase would be 2.5% each year.
Yeah.
So
Instead of 10 or 20,000 like they, sometimes they would just.
Well, we're 200% now. But we're double what we're required to give them by law. So this is just saying that, that will continue, I guess. But they'll know that they're looking again at 2.5% increase
Annually?
going forward, yeah.
It takes the emotion out of it.
I have a question, Mike. What if the libraries years down the road say, we need more, and they get a board member rally behind this, and so this could be voted against at some point, right?
it would take a new resolution once there's a resolution passed.
A new resolution, so it couldn't just be changed at a budget meeting because the library wanted more. 2 or 3 board members are like, yeah, we want to get them more. So-
That probably could happen
That could happen. So this is
outside
a,
of this base funding.
so this is a binding resolution that kind of has some teeth, but not ultimate teeth if they wanted to change that.
It's more teeth than we have now.
No, I get it.
I would have to check with legal on that, to be honest.
I was just curious. I was thinking that, I
That's a
didn't have
good
that
point.
question in
That's a
economics.
good
but-
question. And I
Because that's
would,
how it's kind of been done in the past. I mean, the emotion gets going and
would
it
bet
kind
it
of takes
could.
on a life of itself, but.
I would bet that you're right, that someone could get a, rally behind it and say, but like I said.
As
we gotta
board
check into
members,
it,
though,
but-
you'd be going against your own resolution to do that.
Yeah.
That would never happen.
I guess to clarify, I was hoping that it would go back down to the allocated amount. I mean, I know that that makes me a horrible person in the public, but the allocated amount, and then it's then based off of this, but you're saying it would remain the same as what we gave them last
The
year, even
base
though
year,
that
yeah.
was significantly more than everybody else. So there's not you don't want to go backwards and build up, you want to build from where we're at. Is that?
It would be a hardship on them, quite a hardship to go back, yeah.
What did they ask for last year? Was it 50?
245, 245,000.
Additional 50?
It was an additional 35, I believe.
But I think I don't know if you noticed off the top of your head, if you looked at the increases over the years, one, they're erratic, I would imagine. Not
It stayed
predictable.
the same for years and years. I think it was in the mid-90s when the county set 200,000.
Okay, so it's
And
only
then
been
it stayed
recently
like
that the
that
big
for-
chunks have been coming from the original big chunk in the 90s.
Well, it stayed the same for years until there was ARPA money available. And then the county board elected to grant them $10,000 of ARPA money. I believe their ask was 210,000. This was before I was here.
Okay.
But then the county board kept it the same, allocated 10,000 of one-time ARPA money. So then when I got here the following year, I researched that, saw it, and recommended to go back to 200,000, and it did. And then I think 2 years later, we did put it up to 210. And then last year, I can't remember if I recommended 215 or 220, but the board at the final meeting elected to go to the 245.
I think
Chairman, can
that-
I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we going to do the same with the senior center? Is it going to be all of the?
That can be a discussion point, yeah.
So, because that is a feelings over
Mm-hmm.
fact also, so I would encourage
And I
that
can do
we-
resolutions for those two if the committee would like that, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Yes.
So where does that put like the Northern Waters Library in Ashland, Mike?
That is separate. That's
That's
more of a
separate.
consortium where they just do a moderate increase.
Yeah.
They're handled very similar to Northwest Regional Planning, where they distribute it out to the counties that are participating.
Because I know Northern Waters Library is a big asset to all the little local libraries.
Yep.
So, and then bringing up what Stacy said, the Senior Resource Center and Nemacoggin Transit. Where would that put transit then?
This is just for libraries. If we want separate resolutions for those two, I can write those up.
Like you say, it takes that,
The emotion out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the part, and I agree with Mr. John there and Stacy, that after the budget is done and it comes back to the county board and all of a sudden everybody wants to shoot big bucks to this one or to that one, I'm in favor of doing the resolution, setting it at that percent or whatever it is, so we don't have that when it comes to the county board. It's already set and done. Let's move on with it.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to pass the resolution for the library.
Motion by Stacy Hessel,
second one?
second Mark Helwig. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One of the frustrations I know we have with this is the fact that this Weiss Library is the only one of all the libraries in the state that isn't funded by its municipality. And again, you look around and like in Spooner, I believe the city funds over half or more than what the county does. So,
Yep.
we take all the burden of that, and I don't know if there's any way to change that or not. I
We've
would think
encouraged-
there would be.
We've
think-
encouraged the librarians in the years past, since I've been on the board, we've encouraged them to try to set that with the municipalities, and it hasn't gone forward.
That's a great point, Steve. The city of Hayward seems to have stonewalled them pretty well I don't know how the library's asking them, what they're asking them, but it seems there's no passing go with the city of Hayward, and they happen to be one of the biggest municipalities using the library, along with Bass and, can't remember the third one, but Bass Lake. But I guess for them, they passed the buck to the county. But the only thing I was going to say is it might not be necessary. I said it at Econ, because you're saying the libraries are amenable to this, that I didn't know if there was going to be emotion at the full board meeting when this comes up, but if they're for this, then maybe that won't be the case. I was just going to say, if they do come with emotion and you believe this is the right way to go, if you feel up to it, speak up at the full board meeting if there seems to be a rush to go against this, but it sounds like that won't be the case. You never know, but I mean, it sounds like if they said they're for it, I guess things could change in a week or two, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
And we need signatures on this, right?
Correct.
Any board appointed committee updates? Correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. For future agenda items, we want to approach the, is there a time, is it time of the essence to, if we were going to do this for senior center in Namakagon, to put
It
that
would be
next
nice
month?
to do it next month.
Should we do them both, or? I would propose then we put both of those on the agenda for next month. And we're passing around the resolution. That's new now. We need to sign that before we can move further. Okay, next meeting's August 13th. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good job.